Hello, welcome to Bob's Dungeon. My name's Bob, I'll be your host. And in this video, we're going to talk about games that allow you to play anthropomorphic animals. Anyone that is a fan of D&D horror stories, such as what you might find on Reddit, or on some of the different YouTube channels that talk about D&D horror stories like Crit Crab, or Foxy Bard, or the Bear Bard, or Den of the Drake, or so forth, you'll realize there's a lot of stories out there that have furries in them. And these stories usually 9 times out of 10 show furries in a very bad light, like these just deviant perverts that are out to do nothing more than destroy your game. And I'm sure those guys exist, but not all of them are like that. I've played a few games with a couple, and they've been pretty cool in the game and actually brought a lot to the table. But anyway, there are also fans out there of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and would like to play characters like that in their role-playing games and may not get every opportunity to do so. So we're going to look at 5 games that allow you to play an anthropomorphic animal in your game and a couple of honorable mentions. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the honorable mentions. First off, there's the Star Wars role-playing game. This is the D6 version, and you can use any version of Star Wars you want, but there are some races in here, some species, that are kind of sort of human-animal hybrid types that you could play that would allow you to play your anthropomorphic animal in your Star Wars sci-fi setting, you know. And we've had some pretty neat ones in there. Plus, there are rules in Star Wars that allow you to create your own species, and you could go that route if you want. After that, there's one of the big ones for an honorable mention, and that's Dungeons & Dragons. Almost all of the D&D horror stories, role-playing horror stories that you hear about furries will be set in Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeons & Dragons have several races in it, and creatures in the monster manual, if your game master allows you to play those, that you could use to play types of anthropomorphic animals, if you wish, such as the Dragonborn and so forth. And that's pretty cool. That's probably the one that most people think of when they think of this kind of stuff. And next, we're going to go with Werewolf the Apocalypse. Werewolves aren't furries, but they have a human form and a human wolf form and an animal form. And so it's kind of an anthropomorphic animal in a way. But, okay, yeah, they're furries. Since we mentioned World of Darkness, we'll go ahead and mention Changeling the Dreaming. In Changeling the Dreaming, there are 2 types of changelings that allow you to play sort of anthropomorphic animal types. And that would be the Satyr and the Puka, both of which are really fun to play. Now we're going to get into our list proper, and we're going to start with the big one. We're going to start with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If you're a fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and you like role-playing, this is definitely a game you need to check out. It's from Palladium Games, and it'll work good with other Palladium systems because their systems kind of go together. So you can make up a character using these rules, play them in other games if you want. It especially works well in both Rifts or in Heroes Unlimited. And the Heroes Unlimited book has a very small list of anthropomorphic animals you could put together, but suggest you get the Mutant Turtles book for bigger options. And sticking with Palladium, there's the Palladium Fantasy role-playing game, and this has several humanoid animal races that you can pick at character creation. So you can get your anthropomorphic animal thing going on there. And the Palladium Fantasy role-playing game is really good. I don't get to play this one near enough. I think I've played this, last time I played this was years ago, which depresses me. And next, we're going to look at our regular standby for these lists. It's the generic rules. The master book system GURPS, and the D6 system. All of these games have a generic rule set, and you just put your story and content that you want with those games and play them using the rules. And it would allow you to do a lot of stuff as far as playing anthropomorphic animals. You had to put in a little bit of work, but it's well worth it. The next thing we're going to look at is the Mutant Epoch, or Epoch as some people say. And there is a class in here of mutant animals that allow you to play your anthropomorphic animal types. So you could do a sort of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle things in the apocalypse if you wanted, which the Mutant Turtles game itself, since they lost the license, all the information for it is now presented in After the Bomb, which is another post-apocalyptic game with anthropomorphic animals. But this would definitely fill the void because they got other types of mutants you could play as well. The next thing we're going to look at is from Steve Jackson Games, Toon. This game allows you to play a cartoon character. And one of the big tropes in cartoons is anthropomorphic animals. So if you like wacky, zany games, or just like to cut up and do silly things, this game would have you covered with your anthropomorphic animals. Not much more I can say about that. You're playing a cartoon role-playing game. And finally, we're going to look at Jade Claw. This is a game that allows you to play an anthropomorphic animal in a fantasy setting with a lot of kung fu stuff going on. I haven't got a chance to play this game yet, or run it, and I haven't looked that deeply into it, but it's pretty neat. Definitely have your anthropomorphic animal thing going. And that was my look at some games that allow you to play anthropomorphic animals. I'm not a furry, and so I don't know that much about them. I have played a couple of games in them, and I know that almost all the stories you're going to hear online about them show them in really super negative lights and just out to destroy your games, but that's not the truth. The ones I've played with haven't been that bad. Plus, there are a lot of fans of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles out there, and I'm sure they would love to play games based on the Mutant Turtles. So, anyway, thank you for joining me at a look at these books, and hopefully you'll join me next time where we'll talk about something else. Bye.